Well, it's probably worth starting out saying that mice are omnivores, so they'll eat pretty much anything. But in London and in kind of these metropolitan areas, breads and fats, even fruits and vegetables seem to be commonplace. But what they will do is, once a colony in a territory of mice feed on a specific almost type of food, we find that they'll go back and back again and again. And when that builds up over generation after generation, you really find a stronghold. So whereas a colony of mice in one area of London will only eat fat-based and fats, then another colony somewhere else will eat more grains. So mice eat sporadically, and what that means is they'll go to one area and they'll feed tiny amounts, but again and again and again and again, up to 100 times in one day. So what that can mean is you might have one mouse, but you'll see that mouse several times, and it feeds several times in the kitchen and then moves under the boards and it moves between room to room, and then ends up in the dining room and the living room and even upstairs, where it's constantly feeding, constantly trying to find new food sources or spread territory. So the reason why you'll find mice moving from one area to another in this situation and what we're talking about today, so from one house to another house, especially if they're terraced, is two reasons. So mice will spread because of territory. So typically there's 12 mice in a colony, and as that territory grows and more mice come into it, they need to expand their area. So that's what you might find. You might find mice scouting an area, a territory. That territory happens to be your kitchen or your bedroom, and that's why you've got a mouse that's pushing out and mice pushing into your living area. The second reason is that their established territory has had their food source removed. So let's say someone's moved out and left a void for their food. So they need food, so then now they start spreading outwards, and again, that just happens to be your kitchen or dining room. A few stats really, like when mice are 5 weeks old, they can start breeding. So there's incredible pace in which a territory and a colony can start spreading, especially when you consider the gestation period is 20 days, and immediately after that, that adult female is pregnant again. So then it just rolls and rolls and rolls. And when you've got between 5 and 8 in a litter, several territories can start building up, and you can start getting mice on scale within a property or within a row of housing. So like I said, like mice will feed sporadically, so they'll take a tiny amount and move, and take a tiny amount and move, and again and again and again and again. But they only need between 2 and 3 grams a day to survive. But they will go back to reliable food sources, so they won't gorge and hoard a specific area, but they will eat several times in that area. But if something else has been put in to that location, something new, then they will get neophobia, so they are scared of new things. But that neophobia can fade really quickly, and they'll be back in trying to feed in that area. These are the tips that I recommend to try and avoid this, to try and get rid of the mice and prevent them from coming into your living space. A couple of really simple things: wipe down all your surfaces, vacuum each evening, so get rid of anything that's on the floor, especially in those areas where you eat, so kitchen, living area, dining room. Also, like things like in upstairs in bedrooms, that's really well worth checking, especially if you've got houses of multiple occupancy, lodgers, or older children, especially around Christmas and Easter time and places like that where there's an abundance of let's say stored chocolate. So good cleaning. Really important that we store and secure food as well, so into Tupperwares, get everything away and out of sight of mice, and ultimately just prevent and seal any entry points with thorough proofing. That will prevent mice and other rodents getting into the living area.